In recent weeks, it appears as though a perfect storm might be brewing in Los Angeles. Paul George said over a year ago that he planned on signing with the Lakers this offseason, which still remains to be seen if he'll follow through on that. Kawhi Leonard has been trying to force a trade to the Lakers, which may still happen if San Antonio eventually budges, and according to reports, Chris Paul has been telling people that his close friend LeBron James wants to sign with the Lakers as well. The biggest hurdle appears to be Kawhi's trade to the Lakers. San Antonio does not want to be responsible for allowing a super team in Los Angeles by trading Kawhi to them. They have already said that their ideal is to trade Kawhi to the Eastern Conference, but the reality is that San Antonio does not have much leverage. With Kawhi only having one more year left on his contract, there isn't much reason for an Eastern Conference team to give up many assets for Kawhi when he's made it clear that he ultimately wants to sign in Los Angeles anyway. Whether San Antonio likes it or not, they will likely have to accept at some point that if they want the best value for Kawhi in return, it will likely have to be in a deal with Los Angeles. So what exactly happens if the super team does in fact assemble in Los Angeles? How would it affect the NBA as a whole, and just how good would their chances be of knocking off the Warriors? Let's start by looking at LA's chances versus the Warriors. This super team of 3 stars would likely be the greatest threat Golden State has seen since they added Kevin Durant 2 years ago. Let's not forget how good LeBron James is, and how he's challenged Golden State in the past with far less support. Now you're giving him 2 solid wing defenders to challenge Golden State with, including arguably the best defensive player in the league in Kawhi Leonard. Kevin Durant has been the Finals MVP over the Cavs defense 2 years in a row. Now you're taking maybe the best defender in the NBA who plays the same position as Durant and giving him the assignment of containing Durant. Could LeBron possibly receive a greater gift in the playoffs than that? Without ever having to worry about Durant, you're less likely to see an exhausted and winded LeBron desperately trying to keep up. I should mention that in recent years, LA's young group has done a decent job of competing with Golden State. And last year's 4 regular season matchups, all were close, hard-fought games that were decided in the final minutes of the fourth quarter. Now I understand that those were all just regular season games, but Luke Walton still deserves credit for that. No other coach in the league knows Golden State as well as Luke Walton. Give him the basketball IQs of Kawhi and LeBron to go along with his familiarity with the Warriors, and you have a seriously threatening recipe to challenge Golden State. Even with a core group of LeBron, George, and Kawhi eating up almost all of the team's salary, I wouldn't worry about Los Angeles' ability to bring in veteran shooters to surround them with. Wherever super teams assemble, there will usually be veteran role players following their lead, taking far less money than they could get elsewhere, trying to ride that wave to a championship. Remember when Miami's super team first assembled? It was basically the situation I just described. LeBron, Wade, and Bosh ate almost all of the team's salary, but they were still able to bring in reliable veteran shooters like Mike Miller, Mike Bibby, and Eddie House. And of course, a couple seasons later, they added Ray Allen to the mix, one of the greatest shooters ever. As far as the Lakers' ability to compete for years to come, let's remember that Los Angeles isn't Cleveland. Every single year, the Lakers will have potential of luring more stars and talent to Los Angeles. In years past, LeBron was the only lure to Cleveland, but that will be far from the case in Los Angeles, where the history and tradition is rich, the beaches and women are beautiful, and where the team is ran by a charismatic GM with more basketball Hall of Fame credibility than 99% of the league. Now, another aspect that would have many fans excited would be the potential of a Boston-LA series once again. Obviously, the Lakers would have to get past Golden State and Houston first, which would likely be their biggest challenge, but there is potential of a finals matchup between the Lakers and Celtics, which would renew the greatest team rivalry in NBA history. Each respective teams would be led by former teammates, LeBron and Kyrie, which would only add to the anticipation and the drama. As a basketball fan, I am salivating at the thought of this. This last NBA Finals turned out to be what we all basically expected, and something we saw just a year prior, a one-sided, non-competitive cruise for the Golden State Warriors. Getting some different teams in the final showdown would certainly be a welcome sight for most NBA fans. As far as how this LA move would affect these players' legacies, and more specifically LeBron's legacy, I believe the scrutiny will be tame compared to Kevin Durant and his move to Golden State. Many fans claim Durant ruined the NBA by joining Golden State, and because of this, almost everyone outside of the Bay Area wants to see the Warriors go down, and is starting to look more and more like another super team is the only way that it's going to happen. Many people will be rooting for LeBron and the Lakers because they're tired of the Warriors. But the Lakers better win. Pressure in Los Angeles is huge. They don't appreciate failed championships there, and failing to win a championship in Los Angeles can put a lasting stain on a person's legacy. We'll touch more on this in a bit. Something that will help their legacies is the fact that legacies isn't just about winning championships, but also where you win them. Ask the general NBA fan. Kevin Durant's rings aren't worth as much as many other greats in their minds because of the perception that he didn't, quote, earn them, like other greats did. LeBron's championship in 2016 over the 73-9 Warriors, in the eyes of many, is worth 2 or 3 championships to his legacy. To many people, LeBron winning a championship in LA is worth more than a championship with most other NBA organizations. Not because the Lakers are this small, underdog-type franchise, but quite the opposite actually. The Lakers are arguably the most successful and famous franchise in NBA history. Other than the Celtics, no NBA organization holds on to its tradition and legends as strongly as the Lakers do. Winning a championship in Los Angeles would immortalize LeBron in Laker lore, which would only further his legacy with more fans over time. The last aspect of how this will affect the league is that if this LA super team happens, there will be an immense amount of pressure on several different groups. The first group is obviously the Los Angeles Lakers. The thing about super teams is that when they form, they're expected to win, and when they don't, they essentially become immortalized in NBA history as gigantic disappointments, even when they were extremely close to winning an NBA championship. Furthermore, this is the LA Lakers, a franchise that's accustomed to winning NBA championships. Underachieving as a team is going to be bad anywhere, but underachieving as a Laker is on another level entirely. There is no legacy in Los Angeles for Karl Malone, Dwight Howard, Steve Nash, and Gary Payton. You need to win a championship in Los Angeles or there is no respect for you from their fan base. And a super team led by LeBron James will be along some of the highest championship expectations Los Angeles has ever had. So failing would be especially brutal on their legacies. The second group is the young and upcoming Eastern Conference teams. There would be an enormous amount of pressure on developing teams like the Celtics and 76ers to be ready to compete and uphold respect for the Eastern Conference. With LeBron moving to the West, the most consistent and formidable force the East has had for essentially the last decade will no longer be around, and it will be up to the young teams of the East to present a threat to the West when the finals roll around. The third group is the NBA league office. There will be an extreme amount of pressure on the NBA itself to essentially fix this mess that the NBA has become. If LeBron goes to LA and if the Celtics and Sixers don't make significant improvements heading into next season, we will likely be witnessing the most lopsided season the league has ever seen as far as comparing the Eastern Conference to the Western Conference. An imbalance of this magnitude would be enough to make Thanos lose his mind. The Western Conference and the Eastern Conference has been imbalanced for years now, but we've always been able to conclude with the fact that the consensus best player in the league was still in the Eastern Conference. But with LeBron moving to Los Angeles, you can make an argument that all of the top 10 players in the league today are all in the Western Conference, or at the very least the top 7 or 8. How will Adam Silver and the league deal with this? By the time the LA Super Team happens, it would be too late for the league to make significant changes to the format of this upcoming NBA season, so we know we would have at least one NBA season of an imbalance of historic proportion. The imbalance of power in the NBA has already changed the format of the All-Star game, and with LeBron headed west, it would only be a matter of time before the playoffs follow suit. The league has already flirted with the idea of eliminating conference seeding for the playoffs and just letting the best 16 teams in the playoffs play against each other, regardless of conference. But without LeBron around in the East to somewhat balance the league, then the process of eliminating playoff conferences would likely be expedited. If the league decided for some reason that they weren't willing to do that, then they would have to get creative and figure something out.